What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Neighborhood Podcast. So, in this video, we're going to go over the fantastic game that took place last night between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. It was the 7th seed versus the 8th seed in the play-in tournament in the Western Conference. If you guys got a chance to watch this game, it was a fantastic game. I hope you got the chance to watch it. But let's dive into it. Let's get straight to it. So, the Lakers beat the Warriors last night by the score of 103-100. And I'm going to be 100% honest, you guys. I thought the Lakers got a little bit lucky last night because Golden State really did let one slip away last night. The Warriors couldn't have played a better first half than they did. They were up 13 points at halftime against the Lakers. And in the process of that, the Warriors only allowed 42 points from the Lakers. To further that, LeBron James and Anthony Davis combined to always score 11 points in the first half. And you have to give a lot of credit to the Warriors defense to be able to essentially lock those big pieces down. Draymond Green was a major player into why the Lakers struggled offensively. He played stellar defense in the first half of the game, and it gave the Warriors ample opportunities to extend their lead in the first half. You had Steph Curry knock down a big three-pointer right at half, and it gave the Warriors a 13-point lead. And it looked like the Warriors were on the way to beating the Lakers last night in LA. And then the second half happened. The Lakers made some adjustments after halftime. They ramped up the defensive pressure on the Warriors. And the Warriors committed a litany of turnovers that allowed LA to get back into the game. The Lakers were down 13 at half, and they were able to cut it to 2 going into the fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter was great. You had both teams knocking down big shot after big shot. But LeBron James made a wild three-pointer. It was about a 35-foot jump shot with just under a minute to go in the game. He knocks that down. It puts the Lakers up 3, and it ended up being the game-winning shot because the Warriors weren't able to get any points back up on the board after LeBron knocked down that big three-point shot. So when you look at this game just from a bigger perspective here, this game was really a tale of two halves. And the Warriors played outstanding in the first half, but they let it slip in the second half. They really hurt themselves in the second half. And in my opinion, it cost them the game. Steph had a fantastic game. He scored 37 points, was knocking down some big three-point shots, but he had 6 turnovers. Draymond had a great first half, but he had a mediocre second half, and he also committed 6 turnovers. The Warriors got into foul trouble early in the third quarter, and it allowed the Lakers to find their rhythm in the second half. Not only that, in the third quarter as well, this is typically the quarter that Golden State really makes their run. It ended up being probably their worst quarter of the game. You combine the amount of turnovers they had and also the early foul trouble that they had in the third quarter, it allowed LeBron and Anthony Davis to find their rhythm, and they made the most of it in the second half. There's one key point that I want to make, though, about the Lakers' adjustments, though, because this is why I thought the Lakers really turned it around in the second half. They didn't really focus too much on putting Montrezl Harrell and Andre Drummond back in the game. They went with a smaller lineup, and they focused on trying to improve their backcourt defense. So most of the time, they had Alex Caruso put up against Steph. So they had one-on-one matchups, and Alex Caruso had a much better defensive performance against Steph Curry than Dennis Schroeder. I didn't even think that Dennis Schroeder played that bad of defense against Steph. It's just Steph was knocking down shots over Dennis. But Caruso was really a big piece defensively to essentially slow down Steph. I wouldn't say that Alex Caruso locked up Steph, but he had some nice defensive plays against Steph, was able to force a couple turnovers, and it did make the difference. And when you look at what the Lakers were able to do offensively in the second half compared to the first, they were able to knock down some three-point shots. They got AD involved in the game. And LeBron, in the biggest moment of the game, knocked down, honestly, one of the biggest shots I've ever seen him make. It was a 35-foot jump shot with maybe only a second left on the shot clock. And mind you, on the possession before, he had just been poked in the eye by Draymond Green when he was going up for a layup. And he was still kind of dealing with that eye poke, and it didn't matter. He gets the ball, he chucks a 35-foot shot, knocks it down, puts the Lakers up 3, and it turns out to be the game-winning shot. So all in all, it was a fantastic game. If you guys really got the chance to watch it, you guys really could appreciate what you guys saw in the basketball court last night. So now that this game is over, the Lakers are officially in the playoffs. They will face the Phoenix Suns next week. And then that leaves one more matchup in the Western Conference in the play-in tournament. It will feature the Golden State Warriors going up against the Memphis Grizzlies. So that'll be a very compelling game to watch. If you guys had watched some of our previous videos, Kevin and I had already made our predictions about the Western Conference play-in. We both expected that the Lakers were going to make the playoffs, and it is our expectation that the Golden State Warriors will advance into the playoffs and claim that AC, which is the final spot in the Western Conference as far as seeding goes.